Welcome to HB Reddit Stories. Today we will see stories of r/am I the a-hole? Would I be the a-hole if I don't give my late BF's house to his parents? My boyfriend, 30M, RIP, and I, 33M, were together for 15 years. I was his senior in high school, and we stayed together until a few months ago when he passed away due bone cancer. I live in a traditional country where same-sex marriage is no legal but is not a big issue socially. His parents kicked him out when he came out as gay at 17, my family took him in, helped him to finish HS and were supportive the most they could. I work in HR and he worked in IT, since he started to work he made good money. He saved enough to purchase a house 10 years ago, he was paying the mortgage all by himself. 4 years ago he got the diagnosis. He reduced his working hours to take care of his health and I stepped in to pay the mortgage. It was a hard battle, but cancer took him back in March. After he passed away, his family appeared in the picture, saying how they regretted not being in his son's life and stuff. Time went by and a month ago they reached out to me asking me when they can expect I could give them the keys of the house. Since same-sex marriage is no legal, they could claim the house as their family. I told them that the house was in my name, I bought it from him a year into the cancer, so it was legally mine and I had been paying the mortgage way before it. They got upset and said I was being unreasonable, that it should be legally theirs, that my boyfriend would have wanted to give them the house, which is in fact true. My boyfriend talked a lot how he would give everything to them if that would fix the relationship between them. Actually, he bought the house as a way to bring them live with him so they would no longer rent. He also tried to make amends with them all this time, unsuccessfully. I told them that I would give them the house for the price I bought it from my boyfriend and they would have to pay me back these 4 years of mortgage plus take the debt over their name. They said they didn't have the money and that it was so selfish of me to tell them that, knowing what my boyfriend would have wanted. They proposed just to change the debt onto their name and give me no money in return. I declined. They got mad and the discussion got heated to the point they told me they would bring me to court accusing me of scamming my boyfriend to have the house. They can't. They have been calling and texting me non-stop for the past month, telling me I would be an a-hole to my boyfriend if I don't give them the house. I know they can't pay me back all the money I put in the house, but I'm conflicted right now. Some friends told me that I should give them the house and move on with my life, but it just doesn't feel right to me. I'm leaning more onto not giving them the house, but I know my boyfriend would jump the bed and give it to them. Right now their words feels empty and as if they just want to take advantage of the situation. I don't need the house, to be honest, but don't want to give them either. We never talked with my boyfriend what should I do with the house after his death, so would I be the a-hole if I don't give them the house? Edited to add, thank you all for your kind words. I cried a lot with most of the comments. Sorry if I can't keep the pace and reply to everyone, just wanted to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Top comments until you don't find it at all suspicious that they didn't come around until after he died? I don't believe they regret anything, they just want his assets. I also don't believe your boyfriend would have wanted you to give them the house. While he was alive, he would have done that to mend the relationship. But now there is no opportunity to mend the relationship. You really think he would want you to move out and give them the house? He loved you too and I don't think you're thinking about that at all. You really should block their numbers and move on with your life. OP replies. Actually, we always joked about how he would have a hard time if his parents asked him to break up with me in order to win their love back. He really was desperate for their love and I know he would be conflicted too. I did find suspicious why they appeared until his death, that's why I don't find their words honest and what is keeping me from giving them the house. I don't need it, thankfully I also have an apartment that I bought with my own money, but the house means a lot to us, give it to them. Not the a-hole. Ignore them. Prepare a lawyer just in case. The house is legally yours. They're vultures. They didn't lift a finger during his cancer diagnosis. OP replies. Thanks, legally they can do crap. I bought the house under the law's process, and they can't sue me for an inch. He used almost all his money to pay his medical bills. I told them they could claim the remaining money if they want. I'm not touching a cent of my BF's account, although, I can since I'm his beneficiary in the account and assurance. Not the a-hole. Firstly, sorry for your loss. Take all the time you need to grieve. So boyfriend tried to make amends several times. He was blown off each time. Now that there are no amends to be made, they try to profit of his death. It's glaringly obvious. Now suddenly they care. Great for them. Do not give them the house. There is a reason your boyfriend sold the house to you, and mortgage was not the one, I believe. He planned for both possibilities. He knew he could die and he sold you the house. Seems like he wants you to have it. You were there for him through it all. You are his family. And that for a long time already. His old family doesn't deserve anything. And they didn't seem interested when your boyfriend was still alive. That tells you everything. Good luck. Opie replies. Thanks. Actually, mortgage was the reason we decided I will bought it. It led to me to have a better rate since I already have an apartment on my name. That's the reason behind it, but we never discussed again what would happen to the house. For me, it was simply we being we, no more, no less. We never doubt each other, so that's why we also didn't talk about what would happen. But for them to be leeches, yeah. I don't doubt it a second. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my child's stepmother to grow up and stop asking a teenager for support? I, 39F, have 2 children, Kimmy, 14F, and 9M, and share custody with their father, Dave. Kimmy is starting high school soon and her school sent a list of their extracurriculars. I want my children to be academically inclined and join clubs to meet people. I told Kimmy to pick some clubs, and as of right now she picked out 10, which we are definitely going to shorten down. Kimmy sent a list of clubs to her father so he could help her. He didn't respond, and instead, I got a call from Dave's wife, Amy, a little later. Amy asked me if Kimmy was really going to join all of those clubs, and I said not all but probably some of them. Amy followed by asking if Kimmy could only join one of the clubs on her list, which confused me. I asked why. Amy explained that she has to go to work soon, and she really needs someone to take care of her kids. She was hoping that Kimmy would be able to go to their house straight after school and take care of them. Amy has 3 kids under 13, and recently had a baby with Dave. Kimmy has attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, which makes it hard for her to care for her own needs. I already feel extremely uncomfortable leaving her with 4 kids that young unattended. Amy didn't even mention transportation and how Kimmy would get there. I told her no. This upset Amy. She told me that Kimmy is a part of her family too, and as a family they all need to chip in, and according to her, Kimmy should chip in by babysitting. She ranted on, giving me a sob story as to how she was struggling already with Dave working, how hard it was to be mom to 4 kids who depend on her so much, and how expensive childcare was nowadays. I told her no, and why I was uncomfortable, to which she just reiterated her story. This happened twice. By this time, I said number 3 times and she was still asking. I thought it was clear that no meant no, not no, and ask again later. I interrupted her and told her no is my final answer, and she's honestly pathetic to ask a 14-year-old for support, and it sounds she needs to grow up instead of relying on children to pick up her slack. As you would expect, Amy and Dave are upset at me, which I don't really mind. My only issue is that when I told my sister, she thought I was being cruel, which is making me rethink things. Am I the a-hole? Edit, a common question I'm being asked is what custody looks like. My kids go to their fathers 1 week every month and stay with me for the rest. But there are times where they stay at their fathers longer than expected, with my permission. For instance, the kids stayed a couple weeks at their father for the summer. Sometimes they stay an extra few days, but the custody is officially me March 4th and him January 4th, with me being their primary caregiver. Edit 2, a lot of you guys are asking about Amy's kids. The oldest is around my son's age, albeit a bit older, and I literally have no idea if their father is helping them or if they have the same father, because it's none of my business and those are not at all my kids. Edit 3, while I'm very glad a lot you fellow millennials like the Babysitter Club, can you please stop using it as a reference? I've read some ridiculous comments on this post, but using fictional 12-year-olds who acted like teenagers as a reason for my child to babysit are one of the most ridiculous ones I've seen. That's like if I used Aladdin to prove why my kids should get a genie. Edit 4, additionally, I don't think struggling moms should be bashed, but they should be treated like humans and need to know when boundaries were crossed. Dave and I have been co-parenting for a while, so there was a time when I was in Amy's shoes and wondering what I would do with my kiddos. A thought that did not cross my mind was asking a minor to unwillingly drop all of their interests. There's a difference between setting boundaries and knowing my child can't take on a responsibility and simply wanting to put a struggling mother down just because it was another Tuesday. Edit 5. My kids have also been talked to this about, and we're setting firm boundaries with stepmom and dad. Top comments. Not the a-hole. The fact that she wouldn't take no for an answer shows that they had already presumed Kimmy would be their primary child carer before she was even asked. I also noticed no mention of pay. Is that due to family too? Not Kimmy's crap show or responsibility. Good for you for sticking up for your daughter. Not the a-hole. Speak with Dave and make it very, very clear that your kid won't be babysitting and helping unnecessarily. I don't care if the stepmom needs help, it's not on the kid to help. You need to keep a close eye on her. She assumed she would have a built-in babysitter. She will try and force your daughter to help when she goes over. Go back to court and make the judge aware the step-parent is trying to force your 14-year-old to do unpaid labor. Tell husband no. Your 14-year-old cannot take the responsibility of her stepmother's kids. Hard no. Tell him you are going to court over it. Next story. Am I the a-hole for giving my wedding dress to my future daughter-in-law instead of my stepdaughter? I 42F got married 24 years ago. I decided that if I had a daughter, I would pass the dress and accessories on to her. I chose a simple, elegant dress, rather than what was fashionable at the time, because I wanted something timeless that people could wear for generations to come. I had my son, Mark, now 22 a year after, and his father passed away when he was young. I raised Mark as a single mom for several years. I decided that when Mark married, I would give my dress and accessories to his wife. When I was 33, I met Rob, now 52. I fell in love with him and we quickly married. He became a great father figure for Mark, and I was so excited to have a stepdaughter, Molly, now 24F. My relationship with Molly had a rocky beginning. I've been patient and gentle with her. I've offered to take her shopping or get her nails done. I asked Rob about her favorite foods and made sure to cook those. She made it clear that she didn't see me as her real mom. Years passed, and I never changed the way I treated Molly. My door was always open for her, but she never changed the way she thought about me. She called me a trophy wife to my face. If I ever threw a charity event, she would remark, "Wow, you're so generous with Dad's money." While she didn't say anything explicitly, I could tell she looked down on me for not having a college degree. A couple years ago, I made a final offering to Molly. I brought her into my closet and showed her the dress and accessories and told her I would love for her to wear them at her wedding. Some alterations would have to be done. I am 5 feet 9 inches and a size 4, while Molly is 5 feet 4 inches and a size 8, but we could make it work. Molly scoffed and said I had archaic values and that the dress was trashy, and walked out. That really hurt because she knew what that dress meant to me and she didn't care. After that, I stopped making as much of an effort to build a relationship with her. 2 months ago, Mark proposed to his college sweetheart, Lucy, with whom I have a great relationship. When Lucy mentioned dress shopping, I showed her my dress. Lucy tried it on and it fit like a glove. She fell in love with it, and I told her the dress, shoes, and accessories were hers. She was so happy she literally cried. However, a couple days ago, Molly reached out to me out of the blue to ask if the dress was still available. I told her I had given it to Lucy. She asked if I could get it back from Lucy, since I offered it to her first, and I told her 1, she said she didn't want it, 2, it fits Lucy perfectly, and 3, Lucy is the only one getting married within the foreseeable future. Now Molly is saying I'm favoring Lucy over her because she's conforming to traditional standards of femininity, getting married and being thin. That's absolute baloney, but it got me thinking that if the roles were reversed and Lucy was the one asking for the dress after initially turning it down, would I give it to her? Is Molly right that I'm favoring Lucy? Am I the a-hole? Top comments. Not the a-hole. Molly only wants it because Lucy has it. Lucy recognized how precious this dress was to you and treated it accordingly. Molly turned her nose up in an attempt to hurt you. Lucy, accepting the dress sounds like a wonderful bonding moment for you both. Cherish the memory and ease your mind, you've done nothing wrong. Edit to say, if Molly isn't getting married, I wouldn't put it past her to take the dress to cut up into something else. Not the a-hole. Why did Molly even reach out to you about the dress, given that she's not getting married? What does she even want to do with something she considers trashy? It's obvious that she only wanted to hurt you here because she knew you were giving it to someone else. It has no meaning to her other than as a way to hurt you. You've already given the dress away, so you're done here. You do realize that Molly likely found out you'd given the dress to Lucy and now wants it just to spite you, right? Not the a-hole. Molly is an adult who behaves like a spoiled child in this case, and probably most of the time, too. I'd also be willing to bet Molly wants the dress for 2 reasons. Lucy can't have it, so Molly can hurt you and your son. She wants to destroy the dress simply to hurt you. Be polite, treat her as you would a business associate, polite disinterest, and continue to live your life. That's all you can do. Next story. Am I the a-hole for using a kids teaching technique on my wife? My wife, 36F, and I, 38M, have been married for 12 years and have 3 kids, 10, 8, and 5. None of our kids have phones yet, so about 6 months ago we had a talk with all 3 of them to talk about what they should do if they ever get lost, in danger, need help, etc. One of the things we talked about was them knowing both mine and my wife's phone numbers. I even made some flashcards with our numbers in addition to their grandparents' numbers so that they could memorize them. We kind of turned it into a game to help them learn, and it worked great. During that time, it came up that my wife doesn't know my phone number by heart. In fact, she doesn't have any phone numbers memorized anymore. I told her that she should at least have mine and someone else's, like her mom, memorized in case she can't use her phone and she needs to get a hold of someone. She told me I was overreacting and that it isn't a big deal. She then asked if I have her number memorized, and I railed it off to her without hesitation. Along with my mom's, dad's, and my younger brother's. Well, a couple weeks ago, she was at a work event about an hour from where we live. She somehow managed to lock her purse in her car. Her purse had her car keys and her phone inside. So, she had no way to get home and no way to call me. Thankfully, a coworker of hers was willing to drive her home. But then we had to pile all 3 kids into the car and drive an hour to get her car and then drive back home. Of course, one thing that came up during that drive was that my wife had no way to contact me because she doesn't know my number. If she had my number memorized, I could have brought her keys to her and saved her coworker the inconvenience. She got very defensive about it, which I'm sure was because of embarrassment. But I used the situation as an example and told her that if it was an emergency instead, then it would be a much bigger problem. She eventually agreed that she would try to memorize some phone numbers. Naturally, since we already had flashcards at home for this very reason, I figured it would be a good way to help her learn. I got the kids involved as well just to reinforce that memorization for them. Problem was that my wife couldn't memorize the numbers. My kids knew them all by heart, even the 5-year-old. My wife got frustrated and embarrassed. She said she would just write numbers on a piece of paper and put it in her purse. I had to remind her that idea would do absolutely no good if she locked her purse in the car again or lost it. She got upset with me and told me that no one memorizes numbers anymore and that even if it was an emergency, she would figure something out. I told her that's not good enough for me. I told her I don't care how frustrating or embarrassing it is for her, but she needs to memorize at least my number and someone else's. She told me I am being a big jerk about this and making it into a huge deal when it doesn't need to be. Top comments. Not the a-hole, but I'm wondering if your wife has some learning disability affecting her ability to memorize numbers. I agree with all your points. I've had to use my husband's phone number in many such situations. But also, I've had to use my husband's phone number in so many other situations. I'd have to work to not memorize it. Just registering my kid for school this year required putting his number on 3 separate forms. Signing up for summer camp, music lessons, doctor's office, they all want his number too. If I go pick up his meds at the pharmacy, I have to give them the last 4 of his phone number. Opie replies. My wife has a master's degree in biology. She's had to memorize numerous formulas, chemical compounds, Latin scientific names, etc. Not to mention that we are both of an age where we had all of our friends' phone numbers memorized during our teenage years. If she has a learning disability, it is either just now popping up, or she's been able to be very successful at overcoming it up until this point. I understand what you were trying to do, but you are the a-hole for how you went about it. Your wife is not your child, so you should probably stop treating her like she is. If she can't remember your phone number, then get her a bracelet or necklace with it on there. Believe it or not everybody learns the same way, and not everyone is capable of remembering 10-digit numbers, let alone multiple phone numbers. The worst part about this whole scenario is you did all of this in front of your children, which makes you an even bigger a-hole. Like, 1. You lectured your wife like you were her father in the car in front of your kids. 2. You attempted to teach your wife like you do your children in front of your kids. 3. Then you shamed her and argued with her about her inability to memorize the numbers in front of your kids. So your kids learned your phone number and how to talk to their mother like a child from you that day. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share and subscribe the channel HB Reddit Stories.